Welcome to the Wine Zone. I'm Conrad Ejbich, and this is Pro&Kon. Today, my special guest is Don Triggs. Don is the founder of Culmina Family Estate Winery in South Okanagan in beautiful British Columbia, which is in Canada. So, Don, thank you for bringing in this fantastic wine. This is Culmina Hypothesis, and I'd like you to tell me all about it. But before you do, I want to ask you, why did you call the winery Culmina Family Estate Winery and not Triggs Family Estate Winery?
Well, I guess that it's a new project. Culmina means peak in Latin. It's also the root of the word culmination of a life's work in the wine business. And because this was a family project, I'm the co-proprietor, my wife Elaine is co-proprietor, and our daughter Sarah is very involved in the business. We wanted a name that sort of resonated with the whole family. And so Culmina is sort of, it's a bit of a tongue twister, but it's very symbolic to us in terms of what we're reaching for.
But there's no previous contractual arrangement that says you can't use the name Triggs because you were part of the formation of Jackson Triggs.
No, none whatsoever. I think the brand is trademarked. You know, it's like Kendall Jackson. Mm-hmm. That name is owned by Kendall Jackson.
Jackson Triggs is owned by Jackson Triggs Constellation Brands.
By the owners, but I would think that anybody can use the word Jackson or the word Triggs on its own.
Of course, okay.
Yeah.
So now, as long as I've known you, you have been Canada's most successful wine executive.
Oh my.
Okay, you built the largest wine company in Canada, you turned it into a top international player, you bought and sold wineries all over the world, and you were very well rewarded for your work. You could have retired, but you didn't. You thrust yourself back into the business and tossed a whole bunch of money back into the business.
Well, I guess when you have a passion for growing things, it doesn't go away. I could use the very well spoken adage, you can take the boy out of the farm, you can't take the farm out of the boy.
Right.
No, I do have this love of growing things. I did try to retire. I wasn't very good at it. I think if the truth were known, it could be because I'm a terrible golfer.
But is it, I'm curious, because you came to wine really from business more than from farming.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm curious, was there a point at which wine stopped being a commodity and started becoming a passion?
Wine was always a passion with me, and it started very early on. Yes, I was raised on a farm. I knew grain farming, cattle ranching. I grew up, understanding how things grow. I did a degree in agriculture at the University of Manitoba.
Okay.
I spent a summer doing soil survey, digging pits.
But at no point during that time were you thinking, I want to have a winery when I retire?
No, but I will say I was working as a student as a gopher for Dr. David Layton, a professor at the University of Western Ontario, for a summer. And my job was to get all these executives on and off the bus and to their various courses in time. They were from around the world, that sort of thing. And this one chap, a Swiss chap, he took my wife and I out for dinner at the end of the summer because I'd helped him out here and there. And we were poor students at the time. It was very special for us. And during the evening, he ordered a bottle of Chardonnay de Pep. And he started taking me through the terroir, the different soil types, the different grapes that were grown, how the wine was made. And that was one of those serendipity moments in my life.
Right. I said, wow, there's more to this than I
ever because all of a sudden I realized here's a product that's anchored in the soil, but it has all the challenge and excitement in marketing of Chanel No. 5. This is a product that covers the whole spectrum. And what I also realized about it, it was a very scalable industry. You can make a wonderful living on 10 acres if you make really super premium wine and do a lot of the work yourself, if you like being in the vineyard, that sort of thing. And then you'll see wine companies that have grown to being huge behemoths of things. So, and that intrigued me too. There was, because of the complexity in the industry, there was a spot for everyone in it. And you could sort of craft your own vision of what you wanted to be. Do you want to make sparkling wine? Do you want to make still wine? Find a site that can work with that.
And specialize.
Yeah, yeah.
And specialize. You suggest, do you think that Ontario should be doing more specializing? Or British Columbia, or Canada?
Yeah, I think Mother Nature is teaching us that. Mother Nature is a great teacher. Sometimes we don't listen. But I think, you know, we had 2 bad frosts in, I think it was 96, 97, right. And then this last 2 years.
The last 2 years have destroyed the Merlot and some of the Sauvignon Blanc.
2 real extreme cold. And I think it's telling the industry in Ontario, we got to really focus on what we do well. And in Ontario, it's Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Riesling, Cab Franc, and ice wine.
I hope you guys are listening out there. Winemakers in Ontario, please listen. Okay.
And we're learning the same things in BC. We have a much more extended terroir system.
Completely.
From the south to the north. But if you're trying to ripen Bordeaux Reds consistently, you have to be south of Oliver.
Absolutely.
If you're going to really make great Pinot Noir, you have to be up at higher elevations where it's cooler or further north.
Right, in the Naramata area.
And up to Kelowna, wherever.
Right.
But we're starting to make those delineations now.
Discoveries,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
That's true. Now, you're now making wine in British Columbia, in the south of Okanagan. So your government, your provincial government, the British Columbia government, permits the import of Ontario wine into British Columbia. But our government here in Ontario does not reciprocate by permitting your wine to be sold here. Do you have any thoughts about that, or do you have any predictions?
I'm hoping. I know there's some intergovernmental task force working on it, trying to open things up, Yeah, it's easier, as it turns out, for us to sell our wine probably in the United States than it is to get it into Ontario.
Right.
That said, we're extremely excited because Culmina Hypothesis is about to be listed by the LCBO in Vintage's stores.
Okay.
And we're expecting that to happen around the Monday of the last week of June.
Monday of the last week of June, fantastic. Or that Saturday before, where they do all the releases. Yeah. Probably. Yeah. So that's fantastic, and this is an opportunity. Other than a very, very tiny amount of 2011, this is really your first vintage, your first commercial vintage.
Yes, it is.
And for collectors, I always say those first commercial vintages go really up in value. Whether you drink, well, not if you drink them, but you got to drink them to know whether they're worth putting away.
Right.
So I think this is totally amazing in that a couple of things. First of all, you have ripened those grapes that we don't ripen as well in Ontario.
Yes.
Merlot and Cab. Well, we do not a bad job with Cab Franc and Merlot if we can get the Merlot through the winter, right? Which we didn't.
Yeah.
But this is very Bordelaise, and I think that's because your winemaker, Pascal Marron, from Bordeaux, via Osoyoos-Larose.
Yes.
Boy, was that a sneaky move, grabbing him.
Actually, it wasn't. I was delighted.
Yeah.
But I had, I knew Pascal very well. I, in fact, was part of the recruiting team that originally hired him.
Of course.
But Pascal, I had a high regard for Osoyoos-Larose and for everything that we built in my former company. I wasn't about to go and try and raid or steal. But I did say to Pascal, met him at a show, if he ever wanted to come and see what we were doing, I'd be delighted to show him around. And I left it at that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he called me, I remember the date very well, June the 26th, 2012.
Okay.
And said, Don, maybe I'd love to do a tour.
Okay.
So
I'd like to see the place.
We went around, saw the place, we talked, one thing went to another, and I guess by the middle of August, he called me on, he was on vacation in France, and he said, Don, I want to work with you. Fantastic. And I guess he joined us, he finished the vintage at Osoyoos-Larose.
Yes.
Because I said, look, I wanted it
Very
all to be done
responsible,
right,
totally.
and he joined us on January the 13th of
Yeah.
2013.
Yeah, which was about the time you were starting to think about your first vintage.
We had made the 11 and the 12 at that point.
And who did that?
Myself, Alain Soutre, the
Okay.
French consultant,
Yeah, totally.
and we had a young winemaker from New Zealand, Matt Demain, who assisted as well. So it was sort of a triumvirate the first 2 years.
Wine by committee.
No, yeah. But Pascal did finish this wine
Yes.
and do the final blend with Alain
And you
Soutre.
can tell in the finish that this has the elegance, the finesse that I would expect from Pascal, but that I rarely find from Canadian winemakers.
Well, you're very, very kind.
I'm just trying to be honest here. Now I have a question here about this whole business of winemaking in Canada. I mean, you have so much experience in the industry. You got a solid financial background. Although I wonder about your wisdom by having put it into the business, right? You get great people working with you, and you get the support of a really loving family.
Yes.
What keeps you awake at night?
What keeps me awake at night? Oh, the vines, the weather. My mother always said that, you know, we bury farmers in shallow graves so you can hear them complaining about the weather after they passed away. You always are worrying about the weather. Like we had this, our vineyard is 2 weeks ahead of normal this year. The whole valley is. Worrying about the rapid growth early on, the elongation of the nodules. What's that going to do to the starch in the plants, and is it going to get back into proper dormancy in the fall?
So it's not just time shift 2 weeks and well, pick
Yeah,
2
you
weeks
gotta
earlier.
think
There are going to
ahead.
be other complexities that
Think
go
other
on.
complexities. We don't know all those answers, but we are excited that we know right now, based on where we are. Like last week, we were 50% flowered in our vineyard, which was just phenomenal. We know right now that even if we had a lot of cloud and cold weather through July and August, we're still going to get our fruit right because we got time to do it now. Mm-hmm. So that's encouraging. Yes.
Right. I had a vine. I had only one. My single vine vineyard died this past year. It was Gruner Veltliner. It was because it was the only Gruner Veltliner in Ontario, I think. You grow Gruner Veltliner.
Yes.
And I tasted it last night, and it's so exciting.
Yeah,
Tell me about that.
It's an exciting variety. My French consultant calls it our joker, our wild card, because perhaps partly because he doesn't know a lot about the variety.
Right.
But we saw these trends in fusion cooking, more spice in the food, the influences of India and Asia in the cuisine, especially in the West Coast. We knew it married because of the style of the wine, the white pepper and some of the spices on the front of the aroma that would marry well with more Eurasian cooking.
It's also great with Wiener Schnitzel.
Yeah, we saw some interest in sommeliers, and I guess talking to Carl Kaiser, it is very winter hardy.
Yes, it is.
And he had mentioned that to me, so we took a check. I guess I should also say that the mountain bench that we have it on has the rock, the underlying rock it's schist. So it's very soft rock with layers through it, and some of the better wines from the Wachau in Austria, the really good ones, are planted on these schisty soils. Yeah. So that was intriguing.
No, right now in Austria they also do in the fall they do Heuriger from which is basically the white Beaujolais Nouveau. Yes. Right, the fermenting, bubbling, almost cloudy wine, and they're selling it through November, December.
Very, very fast.
You thinking about that?
Well,
would you even consider it?
You have to do something, and I'll explain it. The Gruner variety, Gruner means green in German. That's for a reason. The way the vine grows, it will throw, some of the bunches will ripen right early on, and right on the same vine, right beside it, will be another bunch. You turn it around, it's still half green.
You have to wait.
So what they do in Austria, they make this young wine to start, and then they wait for the rest. So they do 2 pickings.
They're picking what's ripe, and then waiting for the rest to ripen.
And we have had to do that as well. We're doing 2 harvests. We do one, and then we wait 4 to 6 days for the second one, and then we do the second harvest.
Okay.
Get the rest of the fruit that's now ripened. So now we've made those 2 lots separately and then blended them back together. But we would have the opportunity to do the fresh young wine thing at the start.
The biggest problem for Carl and Inniskillen back then, because I remember the required were 83, 84. In 85 they pulled it out because they couldn't sell it. People didn't understand, you know, or you know, people just. Today I think that we're ready for those because we've got a good sommelier culture.
Yeah, and I think our food palate has evolved a lot. It's just incredible that's happened in the last 30 years.
Yeah, totally.
And so, you know, Vikram Vish in Vancouver, he's a celebrity.
Amazing. Well, he's a dragon.
yeah, he's a dragon. And East Indian food is getting so much popularity, and the Gruner just is a match made in heaven.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Who's making the best wine in Canada? And don't say Pascal at Culmina.
I don't know. There's a lot of good wine. I think in Ontario, some of the Chardonnays, Pinot Noirs, Rieslings are spectacular. I think and some of the bubble too is just outstanding.
Right.
And I would say the same in the Okanagan Valley. We've got some incredible Rieslings in the north. Or up at higher elevations where it's cooler. We've got some exciting Bordeaux blends in the south. Asking me to single out who's the best is a little bit like asking me to say which one of my 3 daughters do I like the most.
Well, which one? Which one? Which one? No. Listen, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. This has been really terrific.
Yes,
thank you so much. And thank you for watching. This has been Pro and Con. I'm Con, the Conrad, and this is the Pro. Come back and watch again. We're going to have more fascinating guests on a regular basis. Or just click the little subscribe button on the bottom of the page and you'll get notifications about all of them. Thanks and bye until next time. Oh, cheers.
That was fun.
That was easy.
Cheers.
Cheerio.
Yeah. Wine's starting to open up.
That's the thing about this is it'll take an hour for it to open up, and in 4 hours it'll be brilliant.
Well, 10 is still there. It needs a little more time.
Yep.
Yeah.